Gao Sheng was a little surprised to ask. You mean the gods are hiding in hell? Has created a kind of demonic poetry with the potential to outstrip conventional monsters. You need me to send the master down to hell. To eradicate the alien body. It's the source of those monsters. Ning Trung seriously nodded. Yes, I saw it with my own eyes. I can see the horror of these monsters. Once they get to heaven, I'm afraid. Before he finished speaking, Gao Sheng interrupted him. I already know what you said. When Ning Trung heard that, he was astonished. You already know everything. Gao saw him so excited. Quickly explain. Yes, sometimes, I'm still in touch with my old colleagues in Spring Hell. When the tourist scene in Ha Nam Dao, they reported to me that there's a kind of descendant of an evil god. This is harder to deal with than the devil. Appeared in the hell of blood. The police know this too. Or you think, why would he risk breaking the balance? Suppression of floods and permanent droughts. Because he needs enough merit to deter the pagans in hell to maintain that fragile balance. Nin Trung is amazing. Why didn't he tell me? Take a deep breath. Because in my plan with the miniatures, your role is to keep the seal. While exterminating the aliens in the underworld, it is the work of Haiyan Yu and Chu Duke. So some information. We are not in sync with you. The person next to me is also suspicious. Why do you hesitate? So far, it hasn't worked. With enough merit to swing up the scabbard. Even down to the tower. Who are occupying the bridge? You also have to temporarily avoid the tip of it, right? Take a deep breath. If the opponent only has the tower and the alien Kier, the current force, I've done enough and risked my life. But if inside this battle, there is another god, it's capable of turning back time and space, even taking people back to the distant past. I have to look carefully at the small and medium. How many times to swing the sword code in your hand is enough? Some time ago on the side of the battle, Li Spring looked at the object in his hand with joy. The good news is that our time isn't messed up. The time-lapse energy of a flick through the butt. It doesn't affect us anymore. But the bad news is, the smoke has remained so long. It seems like my creation has not been completely successful. Yang Qian, help me see. What is the state of pressure through the ass now? Yang Qian next to him immediately nodded. Then quickly open the eye of heaven and begin to observe. Very fast, he caught the state of a flick through the ass. In space, the enemy is currently dividing into countless small spheres. It's blue and red. Yang Qian just looked over. They also came back at the same time. Your child looks straight at him. Yang Qian saw that in his heart full of doubt. Spring next door saw his attitude. It's hard to stare at him. After a while, suddenly, out from the foot of the body, Yang Qian saw it go out. It's hard to understand what's going on. Take out a sphere. Inside, there's a multitude of tiny insects. Just now, pressure through the ass has transferred the pollution to us. Through the eyes of reason. When I hear that, my heart is filled with doubt. Just by facing, it's been able to transmit pollution through the air. If you had this ability at SAO, wouldn't it have been used earlier? Another side, the eyes of a buttock are clumping together. And then again split the four sides. Blue eyes look red eyes nervously say. Trouble and time disorder. So serious that it's impossible to organize strangely. At the same time, there will be problems with reporting on the devil. Red eyes also filled with suspicion saying Ra. Finally, what did the agent of that miracle do to us? Another side, he is currently standing on a palace. not far from him. It's the king's tower. He looked at the palace in front, laughing. It's a little interesting. At first, we thought of religion in this world. Only martyrdom has value. But I didn't realize I was wrong. Your calamity is more suitable for me. My heart right now, it's in a state of zombie plague. He looked at the skull in his smiling hand. I really want to keep this from you. Let's see if we can see him again in the future. The other side is still in the pink bat state. Extremely intense fight with overbearing the Mullis. 2 eyes, his nose and mouth were now bleeding. Overbearing the monks inside, showing off, laughing and mocking. Don't try to resist. You're not my opponent. Let's call the craftsman Kier. Maybe he'll be able to last a little longer. Move the scene back to Tianlao. Nin Trung. After hearing Gao's lecture, it was difficult to understand. If one is transported to the past and changes history, can they affect the present? Hai calmly replied, maybe, and it's been affected. Let's take the Temple of the Kings as an example. I remember very clearly that this kind of temple has to be built in the districts, towns with a large population. But some royal temples have violated this principle, and it's built deep in the wilderness. I checked the records and found that most of these temples, they were all built in the early years, after the establishment of the Tet, but no one knows why. Why were they built? At the same time, while miniatures traveling in Henan, he was almost killed by someone. That person is the brother of Liu 3 Fake. Martial arts master, central plot. But what's strange is the timing of the attack. The brother of Liu 3 was not born. Who turns back time and space. It's called Tiger Wormwood, but we and the police don't think he's capable of going back in time. And then the scene, and I realized that there's a god who can control time. Take this person to the past, and that's changed the current history. Nin Trung stroked his chin, thinking, put this information together. Take people back to the past, change history. Assassination of Emperor Gao as a teenager. After a while, he realized something. Wake up and say, I understand the fear of being transported to the past. It's because your plan and Gao Jing succeeded. 2 people in a different timeline has really killed the alien in a way that's lost. To stop all of this, the god sent Shaman to the past. The time when he could have assassinated your majesty. Although it eventually failed 7, but thanks to this action, has indirectly protected the way the muscle from the end of destruction. The organs on one side now doubted or uttered. But that shouldn't be the case. This alien, it's capable of sending people back to the past and change the future. So why didn't he try it once? And forever. Kill 2 serious people right from the cradle. There should be no difficulty for him. Calmly replied Cao. Actually, he's tried it. Whether it's a small scene or 2 serious people. They've all appeared many times in their lives. Gas scourge shouldn't exist. It's just that these calamities was accidentally dissolved. For many different reasons. Maybe there's a force in the dark. Are subtly restraining and balancing the foreign gods. Make them unable to play. This world is too much, so the situation isn't quite so bad. I thought I was on one side from beginning to end. Speak up now too. Unfortunately, the tower is very small. When you go down to Earth, turns out it's in a different timeline. Him and how to get lost. I have tasted the power of the sword. Look in this direction. Even though the rational people trapped and locked up the most powerful aliens in Liacheng. But if you bet it all into the native fairies, It's probably going to be hard in the next few years. Sighing aloud, of course I know this. But I believe that the foundation that Tramway and the scene have built, it will be enough to survive until the battle for the city is decided. At this very moment, there was a strange sound. You're actually the ones outside. It can completely affect the war. Inside the city, people hear this sound. It is doubtful, or turn your head and look back where the sound comes from. It's a female statue on the shelf. She didn't pay attention to the suspicions of the people. Continued to speak of increasing the power of the cataclysm. Disrupting the underworld weakens the tower. All of this. You can do it now. Like a flick through the ass, the city inside was severely damaged. Give us outside a chance to breathe out. S.A. Executed Death looked at the statue silently thinking. The Emperor of Xing Lin, S.A.O. This is the first time in 15 years. From a distance, I want to move forward. Gao immediately put his hand back. Don't rush ahead. We've lost contact 15. You make this sound. Is it a royal or not? Nor can it be identified. Let me investigate a little bit. Then he glanced back at the center. I have a little old business to deal with. Watch the two of you carefully. Don't let them escape. Nin Trung immediately clasped the glass bow. Yes, I understand. Two visceral and helpless people. Stand there without speaking. Then he approached the statue. What did you talk to us about? The last contact. The statue replied casually. Don't say anything. But you read my signals. Secretly thanks to Li's spring to open. Why copy more statues of my god? Scattered storage in many places. This has helped me a lot. When you hear it, breathe out. Then I turned my head and looked at the S.A. Is the king. S.A. Execution quickly went to hands to worship with idols. Even though you've sometimes lost contact before. But this time at S.A.O. disappeared for so long. All 15 have not appeared. Tall also spoke up. In time, in his absence, he had to carry a lot. Many emperors have been subtly replaced. But we couldn't find the cause. So as not to cause confusion, can just put down everything, the statue sighed. Sorry, but we couldn't take care of ourselves then. I can't help you either. If not smack through the ass. It's just been hit hard. The limited coverage for us has been broken. I can't talk to you either. Through this statue. S.A. executed with a sigh. Even the emperor himself was in trouble. The statue replied casually, that's right, but it's a blessing. Through these years of being covered, we have also seen clearly restraints and tricks of Asian slut through, but here we have a list of them. That's the key to breaking this down. You must protect them. Looking up at the statue. Tell me. The statue quickly says out a list they turn. It's the transmission of the third generation. Tai Chance Tran Hung. Master of the Jade, the Prince, and the Clouds. Disrupting the economy of Lu 3 Yi. I can help you find the enemy's weakness. It is in keeping with his same plan. I can help you. Hold on to important historical bottlenecks. And the Tai Chance Tran Hung he is. When I got there, her voice suddenly stopped. Communication was interrupted. Maybe she was going to say, Tran Hung, the master of the main character. I saw her suddenly silent. It's a little bit uncertain. Thinking about losing contact again? After a while, I saw that the statue had no sound. He turned his head and glanced behind. I clearly remember one of them. A body that I brought back. It seems that the name of the living person is Kumquat, right? Nin Trung nodded. That's right. Gao is serious. Bring him here, I want to see him. A moment later, on the second floor. He was happily sitting in Lao Xie's house singing. I suddenly saw my husband go outside. He kept his mouth shut and stopped singing. The Lord looked at him and said, "Come with me for a moment, Your Majesty wants to see you." He laughed, "Your Majesty, who are you? The one below or the one above?" When Ning Trong heard that, his eyes closed. This guy uses the same technique. I know a lot of secrets. Think for a moment, and he opened the door of the house and begged him to come out. Okay, don't be shy. Let's go. I want you to go out quickly and follow me. When passing through Viet Trach's cell, he paused a little bit and looked at him softly. Don't forget to read my book for you. You only have one chance to right your wrongs. I heard the enemy's warning. Then he picked up the order that Gao left behind. After a while, Ning Trong has led down to the people. Your Majesty's retirement has arrived. He nodded and saw it. He was not in a hurry to turn around and glance at his side. In case of the worst, I can ask you to help remove the pollution. He couldn't believe he immediately smiled. It doesn't matter. After a while, the insects were caught. On the land of the broken ears. My ears are much clearer. I haven't had this feeling in a long time. Thank you, brother. I thought I was laughing. Tall is asking right now. Golden Gate. Since when did you turn to the gods? Become a believer in the gods. Swallowing the chin. Wait a minute for me to remember. Is when the final scene of the trip in Henan. After returning to the opening, he and the Emperor had a duel with each other. When you hear this, you wake up. Rao is like that. So the mysterious person that Lu Tuansheng was looking for, over the years, who stopped and eliminated the evil octopus, and then used the treasure that's stolen from the octopus to help the little scene survive death. Who are you? He laughed and laughed without answering, as if admitted. The woman next to him looked at him in amazement. That mysterious person is Sao, but his face. It's a great way to explain. It's just a change in appearance. The lives of the masters of the Golden Gate were very good at this. If not for my lower brother. Du Sao can avoid frequent trouble. Of the hexagonal owner and Lu Tuan prosperous. All right, what do you guys have to do? Although we've roughly guessed. But the process still needs to be complete. The Lord did not immediately ask me. I want to know about the monsters in hell. The quick response is how to do it. I've already told you about it. If there is no disturbance, within a month, it's going to complete some kind of metamorphosis. If you want to get rid of it, hurry up. Otherwise, it won't be in time. What kind of body can you describe in detail? It's a makeover in some way, a sigh of relief. Well, even though I'm a fan of a butt kick. But in fact, our relationship ended. And other believers of other gods. They're all more on the side of surveillance and surveillance. So what we know about them is very limited. For example, how to do it. I only know he's very interested in the Dark Lord. When Ning Trong heard that, he was horrified to point at himself. Exclaimed the king of the underworld Sao. God couldn't have seen him so excited. The high man said. Explain clearly to Nin Trong. Nin Trong quickly set out his guess. Feelings of subordinates after the battle of the city. That's when you fight the Dark Lord. Without the help of the other kings. It is almost impossible to complete the destruction. If the way the muscle grips. or indirectly holding the method of the negative king T. The difficulty of intuiting and destroying. It will increase. I thought on one side I would wake up. Rao is like that. It's no wonder the tower has fallen in recent years. Go around the world. Search and arrest the king of Inti. Afraid that when the aliens have completed their monopoly, life and death, they will open a way from hell to heaven. And then, thanks to the ability to get lost, that launched a full-scale attack. When he heard it all, he spoke up. If you look in this direction, even to increase your chances of winning on the battlefield of Liao City, or to protect yourself, the rest of the time is for us. There is not much more to consider. To fill the strategic void left by two serious people will lead to a shortage of top-level combat power. Infida stable. So before we leave, then clean up the remnants of the Southern Sword. To strike hard against the infidels in the Valley of the Right. It's something that should be a priority. Put this in charge of you. However, before that, you synchronize the experience in my city with type. Let him make plans based on what he knows. And then you do it. The order can't be disturbed. Then he looked back at the two Tibetan kings. As for you who stand in my place, I don't want to mess in the back. When I decide how to do it, there are only two paths in front of you. I thought I understood. And the Tibetan king is angry. The cold didn't notice. Keep talking. One is to seal the five senses and the spirit until the punishment is done. Two is to sign an inviolable contract with me. I thought I heard it without hesitation, and immediately chose two. The Tibetan king gave his own opinion. I choose you to prepare a new body for me. We separate and then enter a new body. As an enemy, I can help you. The punishment of the lost. Muscle, he thought for a moment and then nodded in response. Move the scene to the Tai and Fong Capital District now. Standing outside the door waiting for 10 good things to come back. Come out from the inside and look at it. The city you feel. You look like an old mother. Waiting for my son to wander outside. Go home? The city replied without feeling anything. And I don't want you to be like a coward, doing superfluous things for 10 good. He laughed. You're asking for so much from someone else's house. You have to make me happy. The capital doesn't feel happy at all. He kept his serious face staring at him. See that face of the enemy. He threw down his hands. Even if you don't have to worry like that. Talk to me. Bring the world back to normal soon. That's the most important. Like you, child of heaven, with the wind. The Kier are still too immature. I won't stand by it. Right now, the sound of the serpent from outside echoed. Master Dong, we are back. The two men quickly stopped arguing. Turn your head and look out. I only saw 10 injured people. Is being hoisted back. The couple quickly went out to ask. What did you do? I didn't say that. You can randomly choose some demons to create a quantity, or SAO 10 goodness, do not say. You are controlling the devil behind my back. That's it. 10 good laughs. The devil has told me. I only practice the Yangming Sutra. I can only control one demon. I just thought that if I caught another demon, the South China Sea will be one less. It can also reduce the number of ordinary people harmed by the devil. He wore it for a while and then said helplessly, even if it's your body, what you want to do is up to you. He can only speak now. Let's bring 10 people to my room. Let me help him see the damage. The snake immediately paid respect. Yes, master. A little after 10. He was taken to the lower room. Take off your shirt. Reveal your body full of wounds. He helped you heal the wound and asked, how do you and your husband know each other? While they talk, the capital is also hiding outside the window. Eavesdropping. I listened to 10 good explanations for a moment, and he asked again, so you knew he had a problem. But because of my sister, you have to work with it. 10 good sad answer. Yes, Dong Ha asked again. So where are you now? Why can't I see her? 10 good listening to him asked the whereabouts of 10 Deem. It's even more sad. I didn't know I'd lost you. He looked at you smiling. That's it. I'll help you find me. 10 good listening is exciting. Turn around and stare at him. My fate with you has been severed. Even so, you can still find the SAO. He laughed and laughed. I am the owner of the land of shame. That prison is a place for taking bodies. Medication and separation from relatives. The bond of fate between you and me. I've been cut off, but the blood relationship is still there. I can use my skills as an underworld king. To help you find the boy, look closely. When he finished, he quickly clasped his hands. Tai Sun's secret practice. Thin Lai range of body art. After a while, he was able to sense roughly the position of the 10 gems. This terrain is in the South Tao Sword SAO. Turns out, it's the Devil's Ward. Very quickly, he saw the 10-minute image. He was drinking with the teacher. That comedian is definitely. Suddenly, 10 turned to look outside. Behind the little girl appeared the fiction of Buffaris. They stared in the direction of the wind. Still haven't seen enough? Lower your eyes and become temporarily blind. Fresh blood is constantly flowing out of fear uttered is 3 pepper. 10 good see so quickly go back and ask. Your eye see a coin. I see 10 people who want to go. Immediately put your hands out to stop screaming. Don't come close or your eyes will go blind. The devil sighed. 10 things that are a little wrong. The teacher asked, what's wrong, lady? 10 turned to look at him smiling. There's a mystic master who's been spying on me. They were punished and sent away. Master stroked his chin thinking, I get it, but this guy could be AI. After a while, he calmed down and said to his 10 sisters, you are now the master's guest. The owner of the Devil Ward in the Sword, Nam Tao. If you want to find her, go to the south. I'm going to treat my eyes. The ointment is on the table. Apply it yourself. When he finished, he quickly turned around. Run quickly out. 10 good looks follow the shadow of his back. He smiled. That day was like the end of the world. The kind of person who's cold in the heat. A moment later, inside the great temple of Tai Sun Temple, covered with troops, take down now, is being checked by the great music crowd. His eyes watched for a moment before he spoke. I don't know, just a few curses. It's not difficult to solve. Close your eyes first. Then he took out a willow branch. Fluttered on the face of the field. He's just manipulating him and reminding the capital next door. All right, folks, just say a few words. The style doesn't care. Staring at the teacher. I told you not to do too much. You just don't listen. Now I have to remember the teaching. He turned his head in anger. You shut up. Music doesn't pay attention to the two. They quickly hand over the mantra to decide the spirit quickly. Now he has just finished. On the 2 lower bronze eyes, there are 4 letters, golden light flying out. The music of the great emperor brought out his hand. 4 Kier letters. He flew down quickly from the field to him. After 4 plagiarists fly in the hand, he looked at the east and said, You are healed and open your eyes. He quickly opened his eyes. His two eyes right now. It's actually restored to its original state. He quickly explained. This time, we're not really meddling in other people's business. Not thinking about, I just want to help my 10 best friends find you. And then I hit 3. The pair looked at him seriously. So you understood. Why can't I help 10 people find you? Before she had completed her 3rd incarnation. I dare not have anything to do with you. Dong Sha smiled. There are only experienced dentists. I thought I could rely on my VI. Help her share her talent. But fairies and mortals are not the same. For more knowledgeable people like us. I knew that the first 3 of them would stay away. Then talk about, why is SAO3 coming to this world? It's absurd that with such a high level of fighting power. Why didn't she go to heaven? Fill in row 5 against the enemy. Why are you running to this world? The great musician next to him gave his opinion. Maybe she came to summon her companions. I see drama in this world. Even though SAO is in the big world, there are too many people who have a grudge against the city. When I heard the news of defeat, people with basic abilities will come to see it. When you hear that, it makes sense to nod. Move the scene to the palace. Dare to stand outside. Open your mouth and scream. Transfer 4 statues of Nin Trung dragon fruit to the ant bridge. Nin Trung quickly went into the hall. Someone else is standing inside right now. This person is a criminal. In charge of dismantling localization put into the objects from another world. I see the middle coming in. He's holding his hands high. Your Majesty, I beg you to step down. Just nod your head and go. It needs to be repaired as quickly as possible. Wait until the suspect leaves. Then he looked at Nin Trung. You haven't been escorting for a long time. Go to Nan Mon Quan SAO. SAO is suddenly back. Nin Trung quickly clasped hands to report. Because in the city, I have discovered a new calamity. That's far beyond floods and droughts. When I heard that, my face dropped. Be very clear about what you say. After a while, I heard the news. I'm scared to say. So when you go to the castle, I've run into an evil king. According to foreign gods, then the enemy knows. The government is incubating a disaster of dangerous proportions. Beyond the SAO devil contest, Ning Trung seriously replied yes. It's time to stop this disaster. There's only a month left. If we pass up this opportunity. Before he finished speaking, Gao He interrupted. How many forces do we need to mobilize? Ning Trung quickly replied to me. King In Min, with Ba Master at the level of the head teacher of the. I have 2 big eyes. Such a level of convening. You can't hide the devil. And the remnants of the rebellion in the southern sword. Nin Trung continued to say. So, I recommend cleaning the house before leaving. Keep the rats out of the sewer. Arising out of illusory thoughts. I asked again, but there must be a reason. The reason is easy to find. It's called the astrologer. The remnants of San Yin fled to the South Tao sword. Ask the devil ward. We have to hand over the rest of the prisoners. If not, as the devil and the monk in the Southern Way sword. Silently support San Yin create treason. I thought for a moment and then sighed. You can only do that. It has been a long time coming back to you. Nin Trung shook his head. No, she's on her way to Hein Duong. When you nod, that's what Ra is. Then the Southern Way sword fighting. Put you in full charge. Pay attention to the intensity. Don't start a full-scale war. Nin Trung immediately clasped hands to receive orders. Then quickly leave. Wait for him to leave. He will bite his teeth. He just called. Then a black shadow appeared next to it. On your knees. Here I am, your majesty. I looked at him. I give you a mission. You go to the Snake River to protect the city for a long time. Be careful not to let her find out. You just need to look at it from a distance. On the side of heaven. The boy sweeping the yard at this moment suddenly screamed loudly. Master Nin, the old man is here again. Then he led Theo Ning Trung in. Inside the house, the boss and the security guard are playing chess. When he saw the Lord coming, he asked, "What's going on?" over and over again. The middle replied immediately, "We have to go to the south. Ask the owner to organize a strategy for me." The owner asked the sword, "Why don't you take care of yourself for a long time? What do you do when you run to the south?" Nin Trung face bass. "Kill a man." When the owner heard that, his face dropped. After a while, speak again. Is there a clear goal? Or any of the priests who have condemned you to death? All right, the police officer said there was no specific goal. There must be at least one group standing in the top 50 tones of the world. The owner heard that. The face immediately becomes extremely violent. It is recommended that you stay for a long time. Turn the scene to the devil. But even now, I'm going to go ahead. The gypsy reported. The owner of the village is planning to cut it today. Then I realized there was going to be a disaster. The teacher calmly asked where the calamity came from. Quick response from period leader. Is now heading straight for the long Y bar. Move the scene to the 3rd floor of Tianlao. Gao Sheng is standing in front of a blood glass. Detect the person inside. 3 is very important. He's probably somewhere right now. Inside the hell of blood. Your job is to find him. Protect him well. The person inside the glasses immediately responded. Understood. The glass then slowly dissolved. Waiting for the blood to disappear, Gao Thin has just returned to call the emergency response. The successor of Tai Ching Dao named Tran Hung Kier. You haven't figured out a clue about him yet? Intense size a 2 impossible 3. The answer that I got from calculating twice. Before that, don't guess. God has made it so clear. I can't help but know. Your Majesty, you'd better stop asking about this. Take a deep breath. I know, but I'm afraid the Gentiles will find him first. Smiling improvisation. You don't have to worry about this. In this world, you can arrest him or kill him. There are not many people today. God has also put his hand in it. Help him hide his tracks. He is definitely safe now. Let's hope that's the way it is. The king of Tibet thought he was sitting at the chessboard. I can't help but applaud. No blame, you can survive under the power of the wind. Until now. I thought it was so hard to see her. The Lord looked at him laughing coldly. With your understanding and application of life and death. If I put you in a world without us. But there are martyrs. I'm afraid that soon. You can become a master of life and death. Tao, I thought I was making a really hard look at her. Sao said that again. The Tibetan king directly reared the post. Stop pretending. You thought, I don't see your little tricks. The fire on you. You have long been secretly given life. Now, even we can't do it wrong. If you think that, there is no hiding the smile. Has been discovered. Another side, the cadaver was carrying a wooden box. Come back. Your Majesty has sent to another king. To prepare to replace the Kier. He nodded his head. Don't let people wait a long time and take it away. The police officer is about to leave. Then Gao suddenly called back. Waiting for the SA to execute, Turn around and look at him. What else did you tell him?